Pellizzaro from the CRO of the city of Milan, and Joy Carney from the RUAF Foundation. Okay? Where's everybody? Okay.
I had a very important slide that I wanted to share with you. I'm not going to be able to do it because it disappeared. So I saved a minute. I'm very happy to moderate this panel. It's going to be short and decisive, picking up on the call for action. What we will try to do is translate the amazing things we heard today into actions and see what we can conclude and implement in order to make sure that I think we're missing somebody from, oh, okay, so that's fine. We're in a transition period. I think you'll agree with me that we're transitioning or being kicked into a new mindset, a mindset that is not siloed, that doesn't separate between protection, for instance, and delivery of services, like the mayor said this morning. Maybe it's also a perspective that demands that we look at resilience and well-being together. We really don't have the indulgence to separate them, to have one department deal with resilience and one department deal with community well-being. So my question to my panel is, first and foremost, how do we combine the two? How do we ensure that while working on well-being and community trust and the day-to-day basis, we're also working on making sure that the community is resilient when crises come up? How can we make sure that our resources, the resources that we are allocating for these things, are used efficiently, equally, and how do we ensure that this idea of hope is actually a call for action? So I'd like to begin with a short round of just asking you, what do you think are the main barriers to achieving this, to combining resilience and community well-being on the neighborhood level? So where should we begin? With the mayor? And I think you should also introduce yourselves once again, because probably nobody knows who is who.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. I'm Piero Pellizzaro. I'm the Chief Resilience Officer at the City of Milan, so I'm one of the colleagues of Lenio, the member of the 100 Resilient Cities Network. So we are 89 at the moment, I'm not wrong. Try to explain or try to answer to your question, actually. Because if we got the proper question, the proper answer to your question, we will already get to the end. But one thing that I was looking at the presentation before from colleagues, it's having a proper risk mapping in the city. The city doesn't, until now, doesn't have a proper risk mapping. So we don't know what's going on. Everybody in each department knows which is their own risk, but there is not an overlap of the risk integrated mapping of it. So I think that one of the first answers is to map the risk, you have to start to speak with your colleagues. So hand right and left hand have to speak together. So I think that the first step is try to find a common ground of discussion to identify which is the common problem. And what I'm doing, for example, we were looking before at the flooding event, but we want to integrate the food production into the urban forest program that we have, this new urban forest program, but is based on the information that is related to climate change impact, so the heat waves and heat island effect that is located in Milan. So when we identify an heat island, that is something new for the cities, so we have the map. I received the first map was the end of July, so it's really something fresh, something new for us. We can identify as well some of the solution. But some of the solution is also some contradiction for the city, let's say, that is also something we need to lead, so the barriers. From the analysis, we have seen that the city center of Milan, which is the richer part of the city, it's 7 degrees more hot than the peri-urban area of the city. So if you are in the Duomo, it's 42. If you are in the southern part of the city, you can reach 35 degrees. So basically, if you look at the climate change, you should invest in the city center, where is the most richer person living, and when you have a lot of infrastructures and the well-being, it's here. But if you look from the well-being, the social issue and the social inclusion, you should invest outside, with climate change has less impact. So what is the connection is creating infrastructures, green infrastructures connecting the city center with the peri-urban area. So you try to link the flow of the fresh air or to cooling down the city, but as well the flow of resources in terms of food, but as well in terms of capability of the citizen to access museum, to access work, to access what it could be also necessary that is located in the city center to improve their livability and quality of life in the city. So I think that these things, it's matching the needs and the different risks we have, the social and the climate, for example, and try to design infrastructures that are capable to link to different points, physically points. This is the most important part for the citizen at the end. Or as public administration, we need, as Constantina was saying, at the end of the day, as working for public authorities, you have to answer to citizen needs, not what is the dream or what is the need of network that we support, but is what is the real need of the citizen. And at the end, citizens want to live in a livable cities, want to have work, and want to have food every day. And one of the, then I'm stopping, one of the outcome of the preliminary resilience assessment we're going to publish at the end of September is that we have a high problem in the city of food access, especially for kids. That is something that is an increasing problem in the peri-urban area of the city. We have kids that can eat only one for a day, and that's an issue. So that's also the food risk is facing through mapping. We got to that, not looking at food access. We got to that speaking with the school, speaking at the access of the education. So we got to this problem, not speaking about food, but speaking about education and access to school as well. So some of the problem you can identify speaking about something else.
I'm going to take from you the words that you use, linkage, information, and pass them on. And I'd like to go all the way from Milan, all the way to Africa. And especially since we talked about, Piero ended his presentation with talking about the most needy. And yes, I mean, that's probably one of the challenges that you're facing. And how do you combine the idea of getting well-being on a daily basis together with being resilient in face of the challenges? And again, don't forget to present yourself.
Good afternoon. I'm Manuel de Araújo, and I'm the mayor of Quelimane City, which is the fourth biggest city in Mozambique with about 400,000 inhabitants. Quelimane City is the capital province of Zambezia province. Mozambique is divided into 10 provinces, and Zambezia is the second biggest province in terms of population, but also is the second biggest in terms of size. And it's one of the most vulnerable cities in Mozambique. It's a coastal city, and actually it's literally under sea level, which makes it very vulnerable both for extreme events. And one of the events that the city faces mostly, it's about flooding, both from sea rise, but also flow from the rain. And actually sometimes we get both flooding. The way we tried to answer to the questions was to come up with what we call a municipal development strategy. Because actually the reality in 2011, when I was first elected, was that there were competing departments and with competing demands, and each of them was trying to pull the resources, attention, and whatever was there to its own area or to its own department. So we thought that we should first of all try to understand the main challenge that we were facing. And so we came up with the idea of having a municipal development strategy, which was first of all, which was aimed at first of all to create a productive municipality. By that we meant that the local economy should provide adequate opportunities for the majority of the citizens. And the second point was that we wanted to achieve that by involving the citizens. So we came up with an approach which we called it a participative municipal citizens, so that the citizens of the municipality had an opportunity from the planning phase to the implementing phase, but also to the monitoring. And then also we thought that it would be very, very, very important to have a sustainable municipality. And the idea here was that the city in the environment, that in the city the environment should be recognized not as just a sector, but as an overall part of the global municipal development strategy. And the fourth pillar was what we thought that should be, our municipality should have a good governance structure where the political and institutional context was stable, open, and dynamic. So when we came up with this strategy involving the citizens, mapping up the most vulnerable areas of the society, but also ensuring that the municipality was enshrined into good governance values and trying to achieve a circular economy, a sustainable municipality, then we managed to bring all parts of the society into a dialogue, and this dialogue allowed us to overcome the competing demands and the competition, the negative competition that we are facing in the municipality. But also at the institutional level, we brought all